Hey everybody, Adrian here. So I know that I promised you guys like forever ago that I was going to tell my birth stories. So today is baby number uno, Reese. And I'm really excited about this story. I mean, it was my first baby, so yeah, it'll always be super special to me. Yeah, I'm really excited. So let's dive in. First, I want to talk about like the emotions that we had leading up. So we didn't know the gender. Well, long story. I really didn't want to find out the gender, but Aaron really did. And so we agreed that he could find out the gender, but he had to keep it a secret, like could not tell a single person. And he had me fooled. I was sure we were having a girl. So it was really fun not knowing, and I'm really glad that we did it that way. But it got hard because Reese was 8 days past his due date. And so when we hit 40 weeks, I was like, Aaron, you have to tell me because I only agreed to wait 40 weeks. And then we were like 41 and a half, and it was just crazy. Anyways, I had a midwife, and I really wanted to have a natural labor. And because I had a midwife, I was feeling pretty confident about that. Our hospital was 45 minutes away.
45 minutes away.
So I think we were both really nervous about that. But it was totally worth it. Our hospital is incredible. It's Beaumont in Grosse Pointe. So around this Oakland County, Michigan, Metro Detroit area, everybody goes to either Beaumont Royal Oak or Troy Beaumont. And so everybody's always like, oh, you had your baby at Beaumont. Wow, I love Beaumont. And I'm like, yeah, Beaumont, Grosse Pointe. And they're like, Grosse Pointe has a Beaumont? Like, nobody knows, but it's the tiniest little hospital. They only deliver on average one baby a day, which is incredible because you have basically the whole floor to yourself. When we had Reese, we didn't see a single other person. Like, I think Aaron ran into another dad, like, in the elevator once. But other than that, like, you never heard anybody, never saw anybody. The staff is super accommodating. So we just loved it there. But anyways, because Reese was 8 days late, like, and I was sure I was having him early. So by the time we got to like 39 weeks, I was like trying everything. I was Googling every single day, like, how do you put yourself into labor? How do you induce labor? Blah, blah, blah. So I was eating like all the Thai food. I was walking every single day, like miles. I was eating like 6 dates a day because they say that will like prime your uterus or whatever. I was drinking all kinds of tea.
Tell them about the banana.
Oh yeah, so that is what really got it. Was I ate a banana on August 21st, and I had read someplace if your body's lacking potassium, it can prohibit labor from starting. And so we stopped at Kroger on the way home after I walked like a mile and a half uphill on the treadmill, and I ate the banana, and as soon as we got home, I started feeling like my first contractions. And at first I didn't know what it was, but I didn't have any Braxton Hicks or anything, so I just assumed that that's what it was. So I took a shower, I tried to take a nap, but that was not happening because my contractions started getting intense like pretty quickly. So within a couple hours of thinking that labor had started, we called our midwife. And she was like, yeah, it sounds like you're in labor, like, but I want you to just stay home, hang out. And that's what we had read, was if you want to have a natural birth, stay home as long as you can, because once you get to the hospital, it can be harder to have a natural birth. And so I was like trying to just rest and relax, but it was getting really, really intense. Also, it was the solar eclipse that day, if you guys remember. August 21st, 2017, there was this like crazy rare solar eclipse that only happens like every 100 years or something. So of course, we were having our baby right in the middle of that. And so after like an hour after calling the midwife, so that was probably like 1:30 or 2, we call her and we're like, this is just too intense. Like I couldn't talk through them anymore. Like they were crazy. So she's like, okay, you need to get to the hospital. So we get in the car, and this is literally exactly when the solar eclipse is happening, when they tell you not to drive, not to be on the street. So Aaron's like hitting it on the gas, getting us to the hospital. And so we got there about 3. It was crazy. I was super dehydrated. They couldn't find me. We had registered ahead of time. They couldn't find me in the system. Aaron's getting all angry with them because that was the only bad thing. The only bad thing is they couldn't find me in the system. But anyways, so then I'm really dehydrated. So they like had to put an IV in, but they couldn't get a vein. So they're like poking me all over the place. It was horrible while I'm having these intense, crazy contractions. When I got to the hospital, everybody like thought I was about to have the baby because my contractions were so crazy. And then They checked me and I was only at a 2, and I was devastated. And my midwife was like, this is crazy that you're like not that dilated, but we still want to do it natural. So she had me bouncing the ball for like 2 hours. And then I was on oxygen and stuff too because Reese's heart rate kept dropping. And there were certain positions that he didn't like. And that got worse like as labor progressed. So I was bouncing on like a peanut ball or whatever. I don't know. Laying with a peanut ball, bouncing on another ball. I don't know. But I was doing that for like 2 hours. And then they checked me again. And I was at 4 centimeters. And then I was just like so frustrated because at this point I had been in labor for a good amount of time. And it was super intense the whole time. I didn't have like that fun labor that you see like in all these other YouTube videos. Like it was intense from pretty much the get-go. So I was pretty discouraged because I wasn't even halfway is what that felt like to me. So then I got in the shower, and that made it a little bit more fun because it was nice because Aaron had the hot water on my back every time I'd go into a contraction, and we had music playing, and so that was kind of fun. So back up, because the thing about the solar eclipse is anytime there's anything funky with the moon, people say that people go into labor. So we had a couple people who had actually like predicted that I would go into labor during the solar eclipse, but so did a bunch of other women, because when we got to the hospital, the natural birthing suite was already taken, and there were like a bazillion people having babies there. We didn't see any of them. I'm telling you, we didn't see a single person, but all of the rooms were full. So the only room that they could put us in was like this little closet room. And so it didn't even have a bathtub. And that was my birthing plan, was to labor in the bathtub like the whole time. But now, looking back, I'm actually glad that we didn't have a bathtub, because I think that it helped progress labor faster, because she told me that every time I'm having a contraction to like sway my hips, and then that would help baby get down lower into the birthing canal. So that was cool. So I did that for 2 hours, and then she checked me, and I was sure I was about to have a baby, but no, I was only 6 centimeters. So at that point, she was a little bit concerned because I wasn't progressing as fast as like my contractions were showing that I should be. She asked me if I wanted her to break my water, and I said yes, because at that point I was just like done. And at that point, through every contraction, I was like, when I was throwing up too, I forgot to tell you guys that. So every time after my contraction, I would puke. Like during that rest time where you get to take a break, no, I was puking. Then I go through a contraction, then I would puke again. So that was horrible. And so through every contraction, I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I just need to have a C-section. I just need an epidural. Like I literally cannot do this anymore. But then, during that break time, you have to tell yourself like, okay, I can do this. Like, this is what I was made to do. This is what my plan was. This is what I wanted to do. Like, I can do this until they tell me I don't have another option. So, she said, I can break your water, and that will probably progress labor faster. And so we decided to do that, and that was incredible, because I think it was like 30 minutes after they broke my water, she checked me again, and I was at a 9.5, and I was already feeling like I needed to push. And honestly, people always say that pushing is the worst part, like the most painful, but for me, like, it gave me a purpose for the pain. I feel like for the rest of labor, you're just like, you're going through this contraction, you're all tense, and you're like, oh, this is horrible, it's so painful, but they're just like, breathe through it, like, just get through it, just relax through the contraction, and it's like, there's nothing for me to do here except suffer through this pain. But once you get to pushing, you have something to like focus on. You can focus on, the doctor will show you like where to be directing your push, and you have something, like there's a purpose for the contraction. There's a purpose for it the whole time. But then like you can do something. There's an action that you can do. So I actually really liked the pushing part. But then Reese's heart rate kept dropping. When he was coming out, he had his hand up by his face. And so he was basically stuck. And so she ended up calling all staff like from the floor to come in and help. And it was cool though, because she did it in a way that like didn't freak me out. So she was like very chill and like cool about it. And so we didn't know that anything was wrong, but then she called all staff in, and then some lady ended up like putting her whole body and like pushing on my stomach to get him out the rest of the way. But he was born at 10:01, and I found out he was a boy, which was incredible because I really, really wanted a boy, and he had a ton of hair. He had so much hair. I felt bad because Aaron had like the gloves on. He was like standing there all ready to catch the baby. That was our plan, was for him to deliver the baby, but because he got stuck and everything, that kind of got, thrown out the window. And so because he got stuck, and then we had to kind of just like force him out. I did tear. I don't know which one's better, like the first degree or like the higher degree, but they were like the smallest like tears that you could get, but I did tear on like either side. And those stitches were like a little bit painful when they're putting the stitches in, but literally when they say that like you forget about the pain as soon as you have the baby, you literally forget about the pain as soon as you have the baby. Like as soon as he came out the door, she looked at me, she's just like, oh my God, you're like a completely different person. And I'm like, yeah, like I'm not in pain anymore. And so it was incredible, and we loved our stay at the hospital. Only complaint is that we were in like that tiny closet room, and so there wasn't really a comfortable place for Aaron to sleep, and like my bed was super uncomfortable. When we had Lewis, it was much better. But yeah, so that's Reese's birth story. I know I didn't go into like super deep detail, so if you guys have any questions, you can comment below. I'm thinking about doing like another video with tips on how to achieve a natural birth. Like if you can, obviously, like any way that you have a baby, any way that you bring a baby into the world is incredible, whether it's epidural, whether if it's with some other kind of pain meds, whether it's a C-section, whether it's natural, whatever it is, like water birth, home birth, hospital birth, whatever you do, like it's all beautiful and it's all incredible and it's all right. Like there's not a wrong way to have a baby. Just for me, like I really wanted to achieve that. I really wanted to do that. And so if you're the same way and you're pregnant and you're really interested in having a natural birth, I can do another video with tips, like what worked for me. But I know sometimes, you know, no matter what you do, baby flips around and then they're transverse and then there's no way that you can have a natural birth. Like it just doesn't. Sometimes there are things that are just out of your control. But if you're interested in tips, let me know. I can do a video on that. I'm just like super in love with labor. Like I thought I had the most incredible, you know, experience with Reese. It was so beautiful and peaceful and blah blah. I thought all these things, like that it couldn't have been better. And then I had Lewis, and that birth story is literally the most beautiful birth I've ever, like I've only been a part of 2, but it was literally the most perfect. Like it's everything I could have ever hoped and dreamed and prayed for my second birthing experience. So I will share that with you guys soon. Like I said, comment if you have any questions. I would be happy to talk about it. I like to talk about labor literally all the time. Anybody wants to talk about it, I want to talk about it too. If you want to have a video on our channel of your birth story, I would love to come and interview you and hear all about it. But yeah, that's Reese, and he's amazing. All right, I will talk to you guys later. Remember, like, subscribe, comment. See you guys next time. Peace.